In StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm campaign, the most overpowered unit is Kerrigan. But I can't beat the entire campaign with only Kerrigans, because sometimes I don't get a Kerrigan. If I choose Brutal difficulty, which missions can I beat with only Kerrigan? If I'm not too strict, the answer is simple. Mission 2, and any mission that gives me primal Kerrigan, I can beat with only Kerrigans. But the rest I couldn't. They were too difficult for me, and although I'm not sure, some are probably not possible with Kerrigan only. So I'll do my demonstration for only the missions with primal Kerrigan, which should be easy enough, and I'll make it a little more interesting by not allowing any bonus objectives that give Kerrigan more levels. So Kerrigan will have the minimum level available for my mission order. The first mission with primal Kerrigan is Supreme. When I arrive, these allies are already fighting my enemies. I don't control my allies, and they don't care that I'm doing a Kerrigan-only challenge, so I couldn't keep them out of combat. After the battle, I gain control of my allies, and Kerrigan destroys them. This mission has 4 boss fights. The first is against Yadra and some eggs. I beat the eggs quickly so they can't hatch, and I dodge Yadra's powerful attacks. Kerrigan has 3 abilities. Leaping Strike has a passive and an active. The passive slightly increases attack damage, but drastically decreases attack range. The active lets Kerrigan jump a short distance. If the target is an enemy, it also deals damage. Psionic Shift also has a passive and an active. The passive increases Kerrigan's movement speed, and the active is a quick dash that lets Kerrigan go through enemies and deal damage to them. Mend is an active ability that heals Kerrigan. It is my only ability with a cooldown. I meet Kraith for the next boss fight. Kraith is huge, but displays a warning symbol on the ground and waits a bit before each ability, so I dodge. Some primal Zerglings also join the fight, but they don't matter much. I find some primal Banelings, which come close to me and explode, but they delay their explosion, and I'm just too fast with Psionic Shift. In the next boss fight, the main danger is from the primal Banelings, so I avoid them and focus Levain. And now, for the hardest part of the mission, I get 3 units that spawn in range of an enemy boss, but I burrow them quickly so they can't participate. That was the hard part. The actual boss fight is easy. Between missions, I can switch abilities. Some don't affect Kerrigan, so I don't care about those. I select Kinetic Blast instead of Leaping Strike. The next mission is Domination. The enemies are Zerg. Kerrigan easily beats small groups, and the enemy hero Zagara. Then I reach the enemy base. They have spine crawlers and many Zerg units, too much for a fair fight, so I do some damage, then flee and burrow. But the enemy can rebuild structures and units, and although the timer is pretty long, that hero that I beat earlier respawns in this base too. If I can kill stuff faster than the enemy can build them, it should be fine. But it's not so easy, and anyway, I thought of a different, much more convoluted plan. The enemy has 3 structures responsible for unit production. I Kinetic Blast one, then flee and burrow. They can't rebuild a structure unless it's completely destroyed, so I can leave their structures injured. Eventually, I decide that I did enough damage, so I move to the side and let the enemy hero leave the base. I must do this next part quickly so I don't lose the mission. This mission is about an Easter egg hunt, and if the enemy collects 100 eggs, I lose. I'm not doing my main objective for collect 100 eggs because Kerrigan is not an egg, and this is a Kerrigan-only challenge. Instead, I can use the alternate win condition of destroy the enemy base. The enemy's 3 main buildings were so injured that I destroyed them each with 1 Kinetic Blast. The enemy still has drones and can rebuild structures, but can't rebuild their other units until the replacement main buildings are done. I prioritize enemies that can actually fight back, so the enemy has way less combat units and spine crawlers, but they have 3 main buildings with almost full health again. If the enemy hero respawned now, it would be a disaster. But remember, I let the enemy hero live, and it can't respawn while it's still alive. Beating enemies faster than they could be built was too hard at the beginning of the mission when they still had a fully functional base. But with what the enemies have left, I can beat them faster than they build stuff. I attack enemy combat units right after they're built. I can beat them if I don't let too many accumulate. However, stalling isn't good enough. I need progress. So I use kinetic blast against the structures. Oh, I almost forgot. I didn't explain what kinetic blast does yet. It's an active ability with a cooldown that deals damage to a single target. It's good because the cooldown is pretty short and it deals a huge amount of damage. Remember earlier I had Leaping Strike? Well, Kinetic Blast is better because it doesn't have that harmful passive. Kinetic Blast is also better because the active has a long range. So you would think if this game was balanced that Kinetic Blast should do less damage than Leaping Strike, but no, it's the opposite. Kinetic Blast does twice as much damage as Leaping Strike. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. This entire challenge of beat missions with only Kerrigan works because the game isn't balanced. I destroy the last enemy production structure again, but this time they don't have any drones left, so the enemy can't rebuild anything. Then I chase the enemy hero, which is still collecting eggs. Luckily, I was fast enough so that they didn't finish the objective, and I didn't lose the mission. But I must be careful here. That enemy structure, the infested command center, is for a bonus objective. If I destroy it, I would get a level, which is not allowed. After I beat the enemy hero, I return to the Zerg base and destroy the remaining structures until I win the mission. The next mission is Fire in the Sky. Enemy Terran are guarding several positions. After I beat them, Zerg come out and join me. It was very convenient that they waited so I don't accidentally use them in combat, and I can destroy them without interference. The enemies have several small outposts scattered around, but Kerrigan can travel between them quickly. And when Kerrigan does arrive, it's a really easy fight, because Kerrigan is so much stronger than normal units, and the enemies don't have an overwhelming number of units in any individual position. But Kerrigan couldn't do the main objectives. They are awaken Scourge Nests and destroy Gorgon battlecruisers. Scourge Nests only awaken when a creep tumor is put near them, and Kerrigan is not a creep tumor. And Gorgon battlecruisers don't even have a health bar. They just die in scripted events after I awaken creep tumors. I felt frustrated about how Kerrigan is completely useless for the main objective, so I attacked the enemy side base. It's just a little base, not a full-size base, so Kerrigan beats it easily, but I can't avoid the truth forever. I need something that's not Kerrigan for this mission. I need creep tumors. Two things can make creep tumors in this game. Option 1, place it with a queen. Option 2, use another creep tumor and spread it. I decided that using queens was more against the spirit of a Kerrigan-only challenge, so I make my creep tumors exclusively with other creep tumors. This might not seem so bad, but it really is very slow and frustrating. Let me explain why. Two types of creep tumors exist, active and inactive. Inactive creep tumors can't make more creep tumors. Two types of creep tumors exist, active and inactive. Inactive creep tumors can't make more creep tumors. My active creep tumor can make another creep tumor with its ability spawn creep tumor, but when a creep tumor uses this ability, that creep tumor becomes an inactive creep tumor. The new creep tumor made by this ability is active, so I don't change my total number of active creep tumors, and I started the mission with just one active creep tumor. That's one active creep tumor for the entire mission that's all about placing creep tumors. Placing creep tumors is really boring, so Kerrigan destroyed the enemy main base before I finished the mission. The next mission is Old Soldiers, and I start the mission with a giant army, but most of the units are not Kerrigan, so I burrow them, and send Kerrigan alone against the gate. The enemy Terrans have many defenses, but Kerrigan can beat them all. The heavy mech units should be the best against Kerrigan, but they didn't do so well. The final boss of the mission is an elite structure with a giant gun, but I beat it in a 1v1. The next mission is infested, and at the beginning of the mission I don't get a Kerrigan, so I guess I technically failed the challenge. So I did the first part without Kerrigan, but in part 2 of the mission, I finally get Kerrigan. I have some allies, and I can't control them, so instead I destroy them all. They can't participate if they're dead. Then I destroyed my enemies. Most didn't cause much trouble, but the predators were surprisingly effective against Kerrigan, so I ran away. But a predator chased me, so I dashed through it, and I'm fine. These were the only predators, so the rest of the mission was easy. The next mission is Hand of Darkness. My enemies are the Terrans and the Hybrid, but these are two separate factions, so I lead the Hybrid towards the Terran and let them fight. I attack whichever team seems stronger. Here it's the Terrans. This is important because the mission has a series of time limits. I could just rush the objectives and win without this strategy of bringing my enemies together, but I thought it would be more interesting if I destroyed the enemy bases too. At the end of the mission, the only remaining enemies were a fusion core and an engineering bay. The next mission is Phantoms of the Void. Okay, I can attack your brothers, but after this beginning section, Kerrigan is not available for the rest of the mission and the entire next mission. Then I change Kerrigan's abilities. I keep Mend, but I pick Leaping Strike instead of Kinetic Blast, and Crushing Grip instead of Psionic Shift. These abilities will be important for the mission Conviction. When Kerrigan attacks the enemies, a Nidus Worm bursts through the wall and gives me free units, but I don't want them, so I burrow them quickly and don't let them contribute. Then the enemies just stand around and ignore Kerrigan, and they can't build more units in this mission. So this should be easy. But then Kerrigan is distracted by a laser, and I don't control Kerrigan anymore. So I use my other units, and I technically failed the challenge here. After I get Kerrigan back, I find some circles. If I go in them, I would rescue my allies, but I don't want allies, so I stay out of the circles. Anyway, this part of the mission is easy. Until the mission introduces emergency, I leap on both siege tanks and destroy them quickly. The prison deck coupling is losing health quickly, but it has enough for a while. I see the Thor targeting it, so I destroy that. And then I run away. The other enemies don't target the prison deck coupling, so I can beat them as slowly as I want. Then it's time for a glitch. Right when the cutscene begins, I use Leaping Strike. And after the cutscene ends, Kerrigan is in the wrong location for the next section of the mission. This is important because this part has a time limit, and it's pretty long for Kerrigan alone. But since Kerrigan's in the wrong location, I can just run to the end of the mission. What damage can I do while still on this high ground? Well, since Leaping Strike limits my attack range, not much. I can barely hit the siege tank from the edge of the ledge. And I can trick these enemies so they attack the door for me. But then I jump down on the enemy mech, and Kerrigan quickly burrows. One last time, a Nidus Worm gives me units that I don't want, but I burrow them. Then Kerrigan can fight the enemies. I beat every enemy in this room, but the mission doesn't end. Uh-oh. Did I just trap myself? I guess I should attack this door. And that was it. When I destroy this door, the mission ends. That was the last mission that gives Kerrigan levels, and my level is only 39 because I skipped every bonus objective in every mission. I switched my abilities back to Kinetic Blast and Psionic Shift, and I got a new ability, Malignant Creep. It gives me extra hit point regeneration and attack speed while on creep, which won't matter much since I can't spread creep. But I won't get my strong passive abilities that require level 50, or my ultimate abilities that require level 60. The next mission is Planetfall. The main objective is defend 5 bio-launches, but I don't have any bio-launches yet. Instead, they will land later at predetermined locations and times. These enemies walk down the ramp towards the location where the first bio-launcher will spawn. Instead, Kerrigan distracts them and beats them. Then I walk up the ramp and attack the enemy base. Multiple other groups of units go towards the first bio-launcher while it's still deploying, but they all walk past the same location, so I can intercept them very conveniently. And I'm way ahead of schedule. This is the location where the 4th bio-launcher will land. Next, I destroy some enemy bunkers and infantry, because the 3rd bio-launcher will land here later. The locations of bio-launchers 1, 2, and 5 are conveniently far away from the enemy, so I'm ready for all 5 bio-launchers around the time the 2nd bio-launcher lands. The enemies arrived quickly, but so did I. This mission seems easy, until I meet the Sons of Korhal. The enemy sent the Sons of Korhal specifically against Kerrigan. They have elite Marines and Goliaths, much stronger than normal units. They seem like they were designed as specifically a counter to this challenge. Or maybe not. Wow, these elite units deal so much damage. But Psionic Shift helps me escape, so I can heal myself with Mend and destroy the Nightwolves one at a time with Kinetic Blast. Was this meant as a counter to Kerrigan? It didn't work, but good attempt. Next, I defend the 5th bio-launcher, but then I leave. It's quite a hurry. I attack these enemies. In a scripted event, I get some free units here, but they don't ever meet an enemy because I killed those enemies earlier. Later, I destroy the enemy base and win the mission. The next mission is Death from Above. I don't have Kerrigan in this first section, but after the cutscene, I get a Kerrigan. Kerrigan attacks the enemy base, which is pretty easy because the enemy doesn't have anything special yet. But then they activate their destroyer field, a large area that deals damage to Zerg inside, and Kerrigan is a Zerg and takes this damage. But you might not notice because Mend heals Kerrigan significantly faster. So I attack enemies inside the destroyer field. I demolish the enemy base with little resistance. Regular enemies in a field that deals little damage won't stop Kerrigan. But the destroyer field continues expanding, and if it destroyed my base, I would lose. The destroyer field will recede after I break this power link, but Kerrigan can't reach the power link, so instead I sent Dahaka, and again I technically failed the challenge. My remaining base is Uprooted Crawler hiding on the edge of the platform. The destroyer field already destroyed the rest. I wait until the destroyer field returns before I approach. I use Kinetic Blast against the detectors. Then I burrow near the objective. But the destroyer field still affects me, so I unburrow and mend, then reburrow. But the destroyer field still affects me, so I unburrow and mend. Oh, I forgot something. Next time I use Kinetic Blast on the objective. And I repeat until the mission ends. Next is the final mission, the Reckoning. Enemies are spread across most of the map. Each area has its own theme, but what really makes this mission special are the elite units. In previous missions, most enemies were normal, and elite units were reserved for special occasions. But now, they abandon normal units and have entire armies of elite units. I have allies. Normally I would let them die, but a mission objective is they must survive, so I protect my ally. I can destroy enemy bases easily, but progress is slow. They frequently send more elite units towards me, which is a mild nuisance.
Sky Fury Squadron, destroy the Hyperion.
The scripted attack from Sky Fury Squadron includes some sent to my base and some sent to my allies. I quickly beat the Sky Furies that would go to my base, then with the speed of Psionic Shift, I hurry to my allies. My allies are still alive, and Sky Fury Squadron's still in the air. Good, I wasn't too late. The Sky Fury spent so much time searching for a good spot and landing that the fight was pretty easy. My allies' losses are acceptable and they can rebuild after this. The next scripted attack is Alpha Squadron. I met them in the enemy base, then fled, but the Shock Divisions use siege mode, so they're way behind the rest of Alpha Squadron. Now remember, this isn't just a Kerrigan only challenge, it's also no bonus levels. If I had an ultimate, these scripted attacks would be easy, and the time between scripted attacks is suspiciously close to the cooldown of ultimate abilities. So I have an excuse for why Kerrigan was one hit away from death. You might think that I was too scared and that's why I ran away, but actually, I just knew that these Reapers were going towards my base. That's totally the reason, it's not a coincidence. Anyway, I beat them quickly with Psionic Shift, then returned to my allies. Did my allies really lose their entire army and beat only a single Pride of Argusgrad while I was away? Good thing I'm back. This is easy enough for Kerrigan. The final scripted attack contains the Odin and many other enemies. I go out in front to then run away. This distracts the Shock Divisions just like last time, but my allies are much more prepared. They have 2 Siege Breakers and many other units. They barely need my help here, which is good because the Odin is a rare example of a unit stronger than Kerrigan. After this, my allies can defend themselves, so I will ignore them, and they won't help me with the next main objective. I go to the air unit base, but Kerrigan can hit air units. Then I go to the heavy mech base, full of good targets for kinetic blast. Each enemy base occasionally sends units towards my base, and Kerrigan must meet them instead. This may seem annoying, but it's actually helpful. I'll explain why soon, but first, more context. The hardest enemy base is the anti-light base, which may seem strange because Kerrigan isn't light. But Kerrigan is a ground unit, and the only entrance where Kerrigan can fit is this ramp. They have Ghosts and Raven that use their spells against Kerrigan, dealing damage very fast. They also have some Reapers that chase Kerrigan, but not too many. Normally they would have more, but they just sent most of their Reapers out of their base. The amount of Reapers left weren't too much trouble, so I could instead focus the Ghosts. Also, their barracks were busy building more Reapers, so they didn't replace their Ghosts very fast. Ghosts are probably the scariest enemy unit, and they could make this much more difficult if I attacked during a different time. But after I beat the Ghost by the ramp, the rest of the base was easy. The final enemy base is quite big, and the theme is they love rebuilding, but I can target their SCVs, so that doesn't work very well. It's just tedious, not hard. Then I destroy the door, ending the mission and the campaign.